we've got Andrew here from 3X Velocity Camp. Take him into his leg lift. Okay, coming out of leg lift, we can see, if we look on the back side, the back knee is really pushing over the back toes, which means Andrew's loading into the quads pretty aggressively early, and by doing that, as we can see here, that puts us in a position to want to collapse and rotate very early. So Andrew's working really hard to get in good counter rotation, good closing, and even the front side really well. I think he knows he has that problem. He's trying to prevent flying open. But what we need to do is get to a position where the knee isn't so far forward and the posterior chain is more exposed, to where the hips are sitting back and the knee is more over the feet and not over the toes or past the toes here. And that would allow us to really load into the glutes and not want to collapse the knees so early. So that's unfortunately what you can see is happening. And as Andrew hits front foot, the back foot hasn't really driven or coming off the rubber. The hips are closed, so we don't have any power through the back hips because everything went early and we were unable to build a lot of momentum and even get the drive going before front foot strike. So if we go into kinematic sequencing, we're going to see, if we go back, if I can find where it is, here it is. If we look at the sequencing, we can see the first thing to peak would be the blue and green, and that's glove and trunk. It's good to see them going together, but we should be seeing the red going first. So the red dot and the red hump should have came before that in a proper sequencing. So that means the hips aren't driving the movement. So what's happening, just falling into front foot, and now the glove and trunk are going together to start to create the forward momentum. And you can see the arm is even late to cock here, extremely late to cock, which is putting the arm in a really high stress position here with this drag. It's probably more dramatic than what's going on, but you can see a significant amount of arm drag, which puts the front of the shoulder and the elbow in high risk of injury. So we've got to work on loading into the posterior chain and not just allowing the back leg to collapse. We really need to pick up momentum and get power through the back leg drive so the hips are opening. You can see they're not even opening at front foot strike. If we go to pelvis and we look at the pelvis at front foot strike, the rotation is here right when the front foot lands, about 160 out of 180 degrees. So only has rotated 20 degrees. And then by the time it gets to pitch release, 90 would be open. So let's see, at front foot strike, it was at 160. So that's 70 degrees out of 90. So that's 30 degrees open. So it had 70 degrees to go, and the trunk was rotating even before that. That's what we saw in the kinematic sequencing. So really got to work on getting these hips to open, these hips to drive open into front foot strike, which is the back leg's really going to help that. We see at front foot strike, as far as the trunk position, there's some contralateral 5 degrees here. And then as we go to pitch release, 53 degrees of forward tilt. I mean, the way that the glove and the trunk are working together is excellent, and that's why you get all that good forward trunk tilt. Problem is the timing's off because the hips are late, so the arm is dragging, which makes me really concerned about the health of the arm going into pitch release. So I think that's just the key factor here, is just learning how to load into the posterior chain, load into the glutes in the drive leg, and then how to get drive extension power, triple extension before front foot strike into optimal hip to shoulder separation, and then how to then allow that to catapult and transfer the energy through the trunk to finish the pitch. If we look at the torso graph here, we can see at front foot strike, hip to shoulder separation is 35. It's probably which is technically it's a positive 35. It's supposed to be a negative because it's supposed to be away from each other like they are here at a negative 18. But at front foot strike, it's at a 35. So the trunk is 35 degrees ahead of the hip. So that's reverse hip to shoulder separation. So technically, I call that negative hip to shoulder separation. We want to be closed off away from the shoulders with the trunk, not open. So a lot of improvements can be done here. A lot of improvements going to help with arm health. A lot of improvements going to help with performance and really getting the legs to contribute more to the delivery.